The day of, it was a tragic waste, and people comprehended that. You know, people understood what it was, but they also understood what it meant to stand shoulder to shoulder and carry on in spite of the casualties going on and in spite of the horror that was going on around you, and keep going until you couldn't go anymore. And I comprehend that ethos, that you keep driving until you literally cannot keep going anymore.
The sacrifices of the regiment, the members of the regiment, they're extreme. Essentially, an entire regiment was wiped out. We're the only regiment in North America to be called Royal because of that battle. It was said that the only reason why the attack failed was dead men could walk no further.
It really was the ultimate sacrifice. The average age of the men that served overseas was incredibly young. And when you think about sending similar aged people nowadays overseas to do what they did, it's almost unthinkable.
I did have a family member that was there on July 1st, 1916. But as a member of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, it has so many levels, so many layers to it for us. The ground itself, to us, is sacred ground. There was so much blood spilt there of Newfoundlanders and the 4 battalions that went over the top prior to ours, all of which were pretty much wiped out, decimated in the 20-minute battle.
I find growing up in St. John's, you walk the streets that those men walked, you see where they trained, and again, the amazing women that made the contribution to the effort in France, making garments for the men overseas, making sure their families were looked after at home, and many of them were nurses as well.
Well, I remember growing up in school that we used to do research on Beaumont-Hamel and stuff like that, and I can remember reading the letters that the soldiers were sending home to their parents, their loved ones, and like I remember reading a letter saying that just send me a couple pairs of knitted socks, like nice knitted socks, because when you're in the trench and your feet are wet, there's nothing better than putting on a nice pair of socks.
When those young men volunteered and when they went over, they were excited. Newfoundland was a young dominion, the oldest colony in Britain's empire, of which those men were very proud, but a young dominion with responsible government. And they saw themselves as putting Newfoundland on the world map. So, besides going over the lip of that trench with your buddy and not staying behind, they really had the caribou hat badge in their mind, and the folks back home in Newfoundland was really driving them forward.
For me, the story of the regiment is that we, as a regiment, rose up from that tragedy, because these guys had already been to Gallipoli, they'd already been battle-hardened. And then after enduring that, they get sent to France, and you know, as the third wave in, get up and line up expecting to mop up after the two other battalions that went before them, and then were promptly cut to pieces. So that was a huge shock. The massive casualties was unparalleled in all of the Battle of the Somme.
What comes to my mind is actually the story that Abe Mullet told. Abe Mullet was on the holdback on July 1st, 1916. He was on the wire cutting party the night before. He was also on the cleanup party afterward. So it was part of his job to collect the bodies, sort them, get them interred. And when he was talking about the cleanup, he said that in his memory, there was no sound, and it was in black and white.
I think anybody who serves knows that at some point in time, you may be called upon, you know, to serve in an area like that, or in a battle like that, or in any type of a campaign like that. But I really don't think any of them grasped the magnitude of what was about to happen. And I think for them, just knowing that they were going to be a part of it is something that they probably took a lot of pride in. Something that I think, for myself, had I been there, I think my initial thought would have been pride. Of course, mixed with a lot of fear as well. But I think just knowing that they were going to be a part of something, without understanding or being able to grasp the scope of the absolute carnage that they experienced. I don't think that that's something that they were able to fully understand.
I know in my heart of hearts that they would be proud of Newfoundland, of how far it's come from then. And their desire at the end of the war, because when they got back, they saw the wider world, and they said, we need to do one thing to bring our little country into the 20th century. We need education. And there it was their sincere wish to not only have the physical monument down on Water Street, the National War Memorial, but also living legacy. And out of the ashes of the First World War rose Memorial University in 1925. The doors first opened. And I think they will be very proud of that institution and what it's done for Newfoundland Labrador.
After the battle, the regiment was regrouped and reformed, and new, not new recruits, but the next draft came in, and the regiment reformed, and it carried on and excelled at what it was doing. So it wasn't, it was recognizing the tragedy, it was recognizing what had happened, and it was still about getting up and keeping going and trudging on until victory.